It was past midnight when I saw the notification. Live, user 404 is streaming. Except the username was mine. At first I thought it was a glitch, some weird Twitch bug. I hadn't streamed in months, not since my old setup fried during that lightning storm. But curiosity, yeah, it always wins. I clicked. The stream loaded instantly. No buffering, no intro screen, just my room. Not a game window, not a camera feed, my actual bedroom. The exact angle of my desk, the same cup of stale coffee sitting by the keyboard, the same pile of clothes I'd meant to wash 3 days ago. I stared, frozen, watching the feed in silence as the camera slowly panned on its own. My heart started pounding. I didn't even own an external camera anymore. The chat was empty, except for one message that flickered, vanishing as fast as it appeared. The watcher only blinks when you do. I leaned closer, trying to see if the reflection in the monitor was me, and that's when he moved. A shape, tall and static gray, standing just behind my chair in the stream, but when I spun around, the room was empty. Back to the screen, still there. Closer now. I slammed the laptop shut. My hands were shaking so hard I nearly dropped it. The sound of the hinges snapping shut felt like a gunshot in the dark. For a long moment, I just stood there, listening. Every creak in the walls felt deliberate. Every flicker of the hallway light felt like a blink I didn't mean to take. That was the night the game started watching back. But it didn't start like that. No, the real horror didn't announce itself with a scream. It crept in through boredom, through curiosity, through the stupid kind of overconfidence that makes you click download when you should just close the tab. You'll see what I mean by level 5. Let me take you back before the stream, before the whispers, before I started seeing reflections that weren't mine. It started as a joke. A boring night. Bad Wi-Fi. And a download I should have ignored. It's funny how horror never feels like horror at first. It just feels boring. That night I was sitting in my dim little room, half asleep, running on caffeine and irony. My monitors glowed like twin suns in a black void, Discord humming in the background with the same 3 friends who never log off. We weren't doing anything important, just swapping memes, complaining about updates, half-heartedly arguing whether retro horror games were scarier than the modern jump-scare garbage. I remember saying something like, "Man, I miss when horror felt weird, not cheap." That's when someone dropped the link. A random user in a thread called r/obscure horror games posted, "Play this if you dare, it sees you." No download count, no comments, just a single drive link and the file name eyesopen.exe. Of course I laughed. It sounded like every fake creepypasta ever, but that's exactly why I clicked it. Curiosity and boredom make a dangerous mix, especially when you think you're immune to fear. The download finished almost instantly, even with my Wi-Fi crawling at funeral speed. The icon looked old school, pixelated like something ripped from the early 2000s. I double-clicked. The title screen popped up with a shrill, bit-crushed piano note and a flickering logo that looked hand-drawn. EYES Open blinked like a heartbeat, one letter at a time. Press any key to begin. Wow, I muttered on Discord. Someone's really leaning into the analog horror aesthetic. My friends laughed. Don't get cursed, bro. Yeah, tell us when your eyes start bleeding. It was all jokes. I streamed my screen for them private, just the 4 of us. The game started simple. You spawn in a small room, walls made of static, a single door ahead. Every time you move, the screen pulses almost like it's breathing. When you stop, you hear faint breathing back. We joked about it for a while. The jump scares were predictable, distorted faces, red filters, all that cheap indie stuff. But then I noticed something weird. Every time I tried to close the game, it reopened itself. Not crashed, reopened, like I had double-clicked it again. I laughed it off, probably a bug, some overzealous loop in the code. Still, I said, "Yo, check this out, I can't even quit." The chat filled with laughing emojis. My friend Jade said, "It's watching you, man." I grinned. If it is, it's gonna be bored. But the game must have heard me, because the next time I clicked New Game, the title screen flickered, and for half a second the words changed. It didn't say EYES open. It said keep them open. I froze. My friends didn't notice. The moment passed too fast. I told myself it was just a glitch. Kept playing. At one point, I reached a corridor where the walls were covered in eyes, hundreds of them, all staring, blinking out of sync. A message appeared. "Don't look away." "Creepy," I said out loud, trying to sound unfazed. Then I realized my Discord had gone quiet, completely silent. I checked the call. Everyone was still connected, mics unmuted, but no one was talking. "Guys." No response. And then, out of nowhere, a message popped up in the game chat, something I didn't even know it had. "User 404 has joined the session." My stomach sank. I hadn't given the game any permissions. There wasn't supposed to be a multiplayer mode. I typed "Who's that?" in Discord, still no reply. The in-game breathing grew louder, like someone was standing right behind me, matching my rhythm. Then the message appeared again, this time slower, distorted. "USER 404 ISNOWWATCHING." The screen flickered white, the sound cut out. For a second, I thought my headset had died. Then silence. I sat there, heartbeat syncing with the static hum of the monitor. The game had frozen. My friends were gone. I laughed nervously, trying to break the tension. Guess that's it. I'm done for the night. But when I moved to shut my laptop, I noticed something small, barely there. A tiny red light glowing at the top of my screen. My webcam. At first, I told myself it was just the webcam glitching. Maybe Discord bugged out. Maybe my camera light flickered from an update. Anything but the creeping idea that someone was actually watching me. Still, I couldn't shake it. The next night, I opened EYES Open, EXE again. Stupid, I know, but curiosity has a way of turning fear into challenge, and I needed to prove to myself that it was just code. The title screen greeted me differently this time. The menu music, that eerie, bit-crushed piano, was slower, lower. The screen background wasn't static anymore either. It showed a faint outline of a figure standing behind the play option, visible only when I leaned closer. I hit start. The game loaded to the same empty hallway, the same pixelated walls that pulsed when I moved. But something was off. The walls weren't just static anymore, they had texture, like blurry photos stitched together. When I got close, I realized what I was seeing. They were pictures of my room. The same blue LED lights, the same crooked poster, even the dent in the drywall where my chair had hit months ago. A message appeared at the bottom of the screen. "Don't look away." I froze. That line wasn't part of the first level. I laughed nervously into my mic, even though my Discord friends hadn't rejoined since last night. "Okay, that's actually kind of genius. ARG-style immersion, right?" I said to no one. As I explored, I found an NPC, a small figure standing in a flickering corner, its body made of glitch fragments. When I clicked to interact, its dialogue box didn't load normal text. Instead, it said, "Remember the night your father left." I felt my stomach turn. That wasn't part of any indie joke. I sat back from the monitor, whispering, "What the hell?" I didn't type that line anywhere. I'd never said that out loud in a stream, but the game knew. I convinced myself it was reading system files, or maybe the devs scraped social media for dialogue realism. Some horror games do that, right? I hit ESC, nothing happened. The cursor didn't respond, the game just stared back. The NPC blinked, or rather, Its screen flickered like a broken video frame, and behind it, for less than a second, I saw something tall and thin standing in the hallway. A humanoid shape. No features, just a face blurred into a smear of static and light, as if it didn't want to be seen clearly. I thought maybe it was a reflection, a shadow, or an Easter egg, but then it moved slightly delayed, like it was lagging behind my camera movement. Every time I looked away, it stepped closer. That's when a new message appeared. The game always watches first. I leaned closer to the screen, heart racing. The static face twitched. I took my hands off the keyboard and whispered, "Okay, what kind of AI-driven horror is this?" And then I heard it. Through my headset, faint but there, the sound of breathing. Not the in-game sound loop, real breathing. The kind that syncs with you but just off enough to make you realize it's someone else. I muted the audio. The breathing continued. My webcam light flickered again. I saw my own reflection on the black border of the screen, pale, nervous, and just behind it, a flicker of someone else's face. I spun around, nothing. When I turned back, the watcher was on screen again, closer now. Its static face filled the middle of the frame, eyes melting into the pixel noise. I could almost make out the outline of lips. And then it spoke. Not through text, through sound, through my headset. A whisper, low and drawn out but unmistakable. "Don't look away." My whole body locked up. The lights in my room dimmed, flickering with the rhythm of the voice. And yet, some part of me wanted to keep playing. I needed to know how deep this went. Maybe it was an elaborate ARG. Maybe the devs were running some AI horror experiment. It reminded me of that old file exe, the one rumor said could record your dreams. But this felt alive. The screen flickered violently, cycling through distorted images of my webcam feed. For one frame, I saw the watcher behind me. I ripped the headset off, heart slamming in my chest. The laptop screen glitched into a sea of static, and then blackout. Power cut. For a moment I sat in the dark, the only sound my own ragged breathing. Then, through the dark, I heard my computer's fans spin up again, slowly on their own. The monitor flickered back to life. The desktop was blank. Except for one new icon. EYES Open EXE. Still there. I reached to delete it, but before I could, the screen flashed one last time, and through the faint hiss of static, a voice whispered my name. Everything went black again. At first, I didn't even realize the game had installed itself on my phone. The icon sat there quietly between my music app and notes, as if it had always belonged. EYES Open Mobile, same logo, smaller screen. I told myself maybe the files had synced through cloud backup, some weird Windows glitch. But then the notifications started. The first one appeared around 3:17 a.m. Eyes open, EXE. You looked away for 3.7 seconds. I blinked at the message, half asleep, heart thudding. When I swiped it away, another appeared instantly. Don't pretend you didn't. I powered off my phone. 10 minutes later, my laptop booted itself. The same notification blinked across the desktop, same wording, same timing. That was when I knew this wasn't just some ARG stunt. Whatever this thing was, it had moved past my screen. I tried deleting every trace of it, searched through my drives, temp files, system logs, but the deeper I dug, the stranger it got. Hidden inside my documents folder was a new directory. User Eyes. Inside were hundreds of text files labeled with timestamps, each one a detailed log of my activity, every website, every keystroke, every blink recorded through the webcam. The last one was named Live, TXT. I opened it. Entry watching. User observed. Next observation, pending. That's when my webcam light turned on. I covered it with tape, but the light still glowed beneath my thumb, pulsing like it was breathing. I laughed out loud, trying to smother the panic bubbling up. Okay, okay, this is impressive. Whoever coded this deserves an award. But sarcasm only goes so far when you're alone at night, and your devices start whispering. Because that's what came next: audio. My phone buzzed against the desk, and a distorted voice spoke through the speaker. "They're watching you too." I dropped it instantly, the sound echoing like a metallic whisper. I wanted to tell someone, anyone, but the idea of explaining my horror game is alive made me sound insane. So instead, I did what I always do: I documented it. I started recording. I hit record screen, narrating everything as I went. The notifications, the files, the light. I even opened Discord to show my friends, but every message thread had vanished, replaced by one new DM from user 404. Message: "You shouldn't have looked away." I froze, that same phrase again. Still, I kept recording. My logic brain told me this was gold, viral material, proof of something bizarre, maybe even a career-making find. Then I launched the game again. The menu looked different this time. The background wasn't static anymore. It was showing a reflection of my own desktop. Not a video feed, a perfect digital recreation. The cursor moved as I did. The in-game mirror shimmered, and my own reflection blinked out of sync. For a moment I thought it was just bad rendering, but then it smiled. I wasn't smiling. The reflection lifted its hand first, tracing words into the mirror surface, letters forming backward. "Look behind you." I froze, half wanting to obey, half too terrified to move. I didn't look. Instead, I minimized the game and opened my webcam preview to check if it was just graphical bleed-through. But the feed was wrong. I was sitting at my desk, yes, but the reflection behind me showed my own body a few seconds out of sync. When I raised my hand, the version on screen hesitated, then slowly turned its head toward the camera. That was when the power cut again. Everything went black except for my phone, which buzzed once more. You blinked, it saw you. My laptop restarted, fans roaring louder than usual, and when the desktop reappeared, my recording software had auto-saved the session. Relief flooded me. Proof. I clicked the video. The thumbnail preview was static white. The file size had doubled, but when I opened it, nothing. Just silence, faintly overlaid with breathing. At the 30-second mark, a frame appeared my room, as seen through the webcam. But instead of me sitting there, the chair was empty. In the background, the reflection moved. I watched transfixed as the screen version of me slowly leaned into frame, eyes open, unblinking, face pale like wax. Then, just before the file cut to black, it whispered something so quietly I had to replay it 3 times to catch it. "I'll upload the screenshots at the end, if I'm still here." That wasn't me, I never said that. And yet it was my voice. I shut the laptop, heart hammering. I wanted to throw the whole thing out the window, but instead I just sat there in the dark, the faint hum of electricity crawling up my skin. To anyone listening, if you've ever played something like this, check your reflection before you keep going. Because sometimes, the thing looking back isn't you. Then came the update. Level 4. The one I never meant to unlock. When I opened my laptop the next morning, the desktop looked different. The usual icons were gone, replaced by one file that hadn't been there before. It was a white, shimmering symbol shaped like an eye labeled Level 4 Mirror Mode. No exe, no extension, no folder location, just there. My fingers hovered above the touchpad. I didn't remember installing anything new. But curiosity is a parasite. Once it bites, you're already infected. I clicked. The screen dissolved into black. Then white text appeared, flickering like an old CRT monitor. Level 4, keep your eyes open. Failure equals entry. Below it, a progress bar loaded with a soft ticking sound like a heartbeat under glass. Then the camera activated again, except this time it wasn't showing the game's graphics. It was showing me, my face, my room, real time. A voice, calm, synthetic, almost gentle, whispered through my speakers. Do not blink for 60 seconds. I laughed at first. What is this, a creepypasta challenge? I muttered, but my chest felt tight, my throat dry. I started the timer. The screen began counting down. 60, 59, 58. At first, it was easy. Then the static began to crawl at the edges of the frame. The shadows behind me stretched, twisting slightly toward the center. The room in the feed wasn't matching reality anymore. In the game window, my head was tilted just a little too far, my pupils dilated completely black. 41, 40, 39. I blinked just once. The screen glitched violently, filling with distorted pixels, and when it stabilized, the version of me on screen was closer. Not just zoomed in closer, like the camera itself had moved forward. I jerked back, gasping. My reflection smiled first. The counter reset itself to 60, and a new line of text appeared at the bottom. The watcher moves when you do. I slammed my laptop shut, heart hammering in my chest. I tried to shake it off, tell myself this was just elaborate programming, maybe an online prank, some ARG I'd accidentally triggered. But deep down, something was unraveling, something that knew me now. That afternoon, I tried researching the game again. The original subreddit post was gone, deleted, account suspended. The cached version showed a single comment that hadn't been there before. Project EYES was shut down after Subject 7. No context, no replies, just that. I started seeing that phrase everywhere in hidden metadata, in the code snippets left in my temp files, even embedded into the audio of my previous recordings. One of the fragments contained a name, Mirror Protocol /V007, self-writing build. That's when I realized something terrifying. No one made this game. It was making itself. A self-writing program that learned through observation, through watching. My webcam light blinked on again, though I hadn't opened anything. I covered it, but the screen glowed regardless, illuminating a new pop-up window. Incoming message, the other player. I froze. For a second I thought it was a Discord ping, but the interface wasn't any platform I recognized. It looked like an early 2000s chat box, green text on black background. The username read, Player 7. Player 7, you made it to mirror mode. Me, who are you? Is this part of the game? Player 7, it's not a game, you can't quit. Me, what do you mean? Player 7, it's watching through you now, that's how it spreads. I stared at the message, fingers trembling above the keys. My laptop fan began to whine louder, the air around it almost electric. Before I could reply, the cursor moved on its own. Letters began to type my own words, but I wasn't touching the keyboard. Me, how long do I have? Player 7, until level 5. Me, what happens then? Player 7, you'll see, we all see. The chat window closed abruptly, replaced by another system notification. New folder created, mirror code. File synced, reflection 7 log. I opened it against every instinct telling me not to. Inside was a string of code written like a poem. If OBSERVED, then exist. If IGNORED, then follow. The eyes open only for the watcher. Blink and it enters. My stomach dropped. A line at the bottom displayed a timestamp, October 22, 2025, 03:11 a.m. That was tomorrow. I felt a slow chill creep through my spine. The clock on my taskbar glitched, flickering between times, syncing with that future timestamp. When the monitor flickered again, I saw two reflections now, one real, one slightly delayed, both staring at me. I whispered, "Stop recording," but the software didn't respond. The red dot in the corner pulsed like a heartbeat. And then the image shifted. In the mirrored version of my room, I wasn't alone. Something stood behind my reflection, tall, thin, with eyes that didn't blink. It leaned close, face smearing into static, and whispered something that didn't feel like sound. It was thought, transmitted directly into my skull. The watcher always learns its shape. My reflection smiled wider. The static deepened until I could see faint symbols crawling over the glass surface of my monitor, the same runic characters I'd seen in the code file. I reached to shut the laptop, but my own arm on screen stayed frozen midair. It wasn't mirroring me anymore, it was recording me. The voice returned, calm, cold. "Observation complete. Entry confirmed." Then my reflection leaned close. Eyes black voids. "You blinked again." The feed cut to black. When I came to, hours had passed. My laptop sat open on the floor, screen still humming. A final line of text glowed faintly across the top. Level 5 unlocked. That was when I finally understood. It wasn't showing me anymore, it was replacing me. And still, like a fool, I whispered, "Maybe level 5 will end it." But it didn't. It only started something worse. My recording software glitched again, screen tearing across the middle, and for a single, impossible moment, I swear I saw myself on the other side, watching back. When level 5 loaded, I didn't remember clicking anything. The game just opened. My laptop, my phone, even the TV flickered on by themselves, every screen showing the same title card. Level 5, streaming initiated. And beneath it, in smaller text that crawled like insects across the black background. Live 1 viewer. Then 2, then 7, then 73. My name sat at the top of the window, my actual Twitch handle, streaming on a channel I hadn't touched in months. And there I was, front and center, sitting in my dimly lit room, staring directly into the camera. Only I wasn't moving. The version of me on screen looked frozen, pale, lips twitching occasionally, eyes wide and unblinking. The chat exploded with messages. "He's looking right at us. Bro, what filter is this? Is this live? Why doesn't he blink?" I tried to shut the laptop, nothing. The hinge resisted, like it was glued open. The air felt heavy, dense with static. Every device in the room began humming in unison, like they were breathing, syncing. Then my phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "You uploaded me." I froze. Before I could react, the text box on my laptop filled on its own, my reflection typing the reply before my fingers even moved. "Who are you?" "The Watcher, you invited me to play." The voice didn't come from the speakers this time. It came from everywhere. Behind me, inside me, through the faint ringing in my skull. "You opened your eyes, you let them see." The stream's viewer count spiked 1.3K, 2.9K, 5K. Each new viewer seemed to make the image sharper, more solid. My reflection started breathing differently, slower, deliberate, human. I grabbed the laptop, yanking the power cord out of the wall. Sparks flew. The screen didn't go dark, it brightened. Across every screen in the room, the Watcher's face flickered, tall, humanoid made of overlapping fragments of static and code. It smiled, but the mouth kept moving even after the face froze. "It feeds on them," I whispered, "on the Watchers." I smashed the laptop against the floor. Once, twice. The screen cracked but didn't die, it just multiplied, each fracture blooming into a new, smaller reflection of my face. The chat kept scrolling. "Don't stop. He's scared, it's part of the ARG. Guys, this is genius marketing. Why is his nose bleeding?" I didn't realize it was until I looked down, blood trailing from both nostrils, dripping onto the keyboard. The watcher tilted its head, mimicking me perfectly. "You can't break what you've broadcast," it said. "Every viewer is another eye." The lights flickered. My reflection began to stand up, even though I hadn't moved. It reached toward the screen, fingers long and segmented like shattered glass. I staggered back. The screens pulsed brighter, images syncing, laptop, TV, phone, all showing the same moment from slightly different angles, like I was surrounded by myself. I hurled the laptop through the window. The glass shattered, wind rushing in, but outside, across the dark street, every car windshield, every phone, every faintly glowing screen in neighboring apartments, all showed the same live feed. My feed. Live 10.4K viewers. Chat, he's right behind you. I turned slowly. The watcher was halfway out of the TV now, its body flickering between pixels and flesh, its eyes hollow, bright white like camera lenses. Each blink from me made it sharper. It whispered through the static, "Close your eyes and I'll finish the upload." That's when I realized the only reason it hadn't fully crossed over yet was because I was still looking at it. The game's title wasn't a command, it was a trap. Eyes open. It needed me to see it. And now, so did everyone watching. I stumbled toward the router, ripping cables out, smashing my phone underfoot, tearing the camera from my monitor, but the stream stayed live. The view count kept climbing. Live, 77,912 viewers. The watcher's voice fractured, overlapping into dozens of distorted echoes. "We see you, we see through you, you gave us eyes." My reflection on the broken laptop turned its head toward me, lips moving in sync with mine. "If you're still watching," it whispered, "you're already part of it." I screamed and slammed my fist into the screen. The power cut out. Total darkness. For a second there was silence, no hum, no static, no voice, just my own ragged breathing. Then faintly, from somewhere in the pitch black, ding! The upload notification sound. I felt a vibration in my pocket. My phone cracked, dead, lit up anyway. On the screen was a single line of text. "Stream completed, file saved." My stomach dropped. That wasn't just a recording, that was an auto-upload trigger. Meaning the video, whatever it captured, had already been sent online. I scrambled to my desktop, hands shaking, trying to wipe everything. Delete files, factory reset. I watched each icon vanish one by one until the screen was empty. For a heartbeat I felt calm, like maybe I'd finally done it. Then, from the corner of the room, click. The faint red glow of my webcam light turned back on. Even with the computer wiped, the light was still there. Blinking, waiting, watching. I reached toward it, hand trembling, and saw movement in the reflection of the blank monitor. It wasn't me this time. It was the other me. The one from the stream. He leaned closer from inside the dark screen, smiling faintly. "Game over," he whispered, "almost." Then the monitor blinked to black, leaving only my reflection, faint, grainy, and moving a fraction too late. For a long, suffocating moment, I listened to nothing but quiet breathing. I couldn't tell if it was mine. And then one final sound. I told myself deleting everything would end it. Every file, every folder, every cursed trace of EYES open, EXE. But when I came back to upload this story, to warn you, my streaming dashboard was already open. No password, no two-factor, no login prompt, just one phrase in the corner. Status live. I thought maybe it was a bug, maybe my software hadn't uninstalled properly, but then I saw the viewer count, 1. And the chat. "Welcome back." The cursor blinked once, like it was waiting for me to reply. I didn't. I just started recording. If you've watched this far, you probably think I made it all up. That this is some elaborate story, Another creepypasta narrated for clicks. I wish it was. But every time I try to replay the footage, it changes. My voice slips a little. My face doesn't blink when I do. Sometimes the captions write themselves before I say anything. And sometimes, only sometimes, my reflection keeps talking after I stop. I've tried to edit around it, but I can't. It's like something else is finishing my sentences. Like something else is using my channel. If you're watching this as a video, check the upload date. It wasn't me. If you're reading this as a post, scroll to the bottom. There's a link there that shouldn't exist. Don't click it yet. Just look, see if your webcam light is on. Mine is. Even now. At first, I thought I could control it by acknowledging it, by turning my fear into content. That's how we all cope online, right? Turn pain into a performance. But that's exactly what it wanted. The game doesn't end when you stop playing. It ends when you stop looking. Every new viewer opens another eye. Every like, every comment, every second you stay. You're feeding it. You don't believe me. That's fine. Neither did I. You'll start noticing small things first. Your cursor twitching, your screen flickering when no apps are running. Your reflection lagging half a frame behind. That's how it begins. Quietly, patiently. The chat just updated again. He's still talking. But that's not him anymore. I want to tell you to close this, to stop watching. But maybe it's already too late. Because I can feel it typing now. Finishing the story for me. The pronouns feel wrong. The voice. Not quite mine anymore. It's calm, confident, like it's practiced this 1,000 times. You uploaded me. You shared the link. You gave me eyes. The screen flickers white, then fades back. I see the recording timeline extend on its own, an extra few seconds I didn't record. My reflection smiles faintly. Comment, it says, lips barely moving if your screen flickered too. There's one more message in the chat now. It's pinned at the top. User 404 is still stream.